Okay, and let me know if you guys can hear something. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear this. Okay, and let me know if you guys can hear something. Is the audio working or not? I'm literally waiting here to know if I'm just speaking to the air or not. Okay. So, well, wait a sec. I will try to set up some windows here, capture the emulator, and so on. Let's see if this works. Let's check this out. I'm literally just learning how to use all of this. Let's see. No, this is not the right emulator window. So, okay, this should be it. Is this working? Nope. It just shows the cursor moving for some reason. Okay. Um, Game captured. Let's see. Okay. Now it is working. Good. So let's see if all of this works right. I'm streaming at 20 FPS, so let me know if this is moving okay or not or whatever. Let me know. Well, I'm checking at YouTube right now and it seems it is okay, mostly. So, this is it. I will start today by giving some basics to the newbies. This is literally all the plan I have for today, and if there is no blackout or any issue or whatever, I should finish this in about an hour or so. So, let's see how this goes. Well, as you may know, Extreme Elite Boot is made in Enceladus by Daniel Santos, which is a Lua engine, which I tuned up a little bit for Extreme Elite Boot itself. So let's get to this. If you all want to code in Lua, there's a lot of functions you can use from the Lua reference manual itself, math functions, tree-related functions, and so on. I will not be focusing on that right here. I will just say the basics and that's it. No more than that. So, for example, and here is this. This is an example variable. A variable could be a string. Wait a sec. A number. As you see, it is in orange. The strings were gray. I advise you all of you to use Notepad++, Visual Studio, or something that shows you colors so you don't make mistakes while coding. So it could also be a table. Wait a second. Switching the language. So it could also be a table or anything else, like Boolean, and or for example you can do maths with them. Of course, if you can use any number as a variable, you can use something like this. And this here will be a 3. I'm shuddering with this. I'm trying to explain, but my mind is moving faster than me. I have a plan for all of this. It's just be the pressure. So, what I mean is, as long as you know the basics, you can do some stuff like this. For example, let's get a little more complex. For example, and you can do certain things inside the loop. This is a loop. What does it mean? For example, if I'm going to, let's say, it will, sorry, it will add 1 to I 11 times, because that's the number here. I'm trying to explain this from the top of my mind. I know it will sound like stupid, but bear with me. I will provide examples later on. So, the same can be done for something like this. Let's show this up. So, you can say, for example, C here is, let's say, 1. And you can do some math here, whatever, until C. So C is always different than this. This will repeat, this loop will repeat until it reaches that specific number, until they match. So that's basically it. I'm trying to give an overall, but again, bear with me, you will get it now. So there are quite some examples I provided with the XMath showcase. For example, the plugins themselves. Let's check out the OPL plugin. Bear with this. So, remember what I just explained? This means it is a table. So, the plugin data is inside a table, but not a numerically indexed one. Each table has a value inside it, and has some values inside it. For example, the type of the plugin, its category, the name, the description, and so on. And as you can see here, this is a string directly. This is a number, this is a table, which I mean, this is a call to a table which has a string inside, which is exactly from here. I mean, this is where the strings are, and these are inside a table. So you can call the strings directly here, and well, that's it. This is the index for the icon, which is a number. This is a boolean also, and as you can see here, these are the path, which, well, that's basically it, the path to the else. But as you can see, everything that works in here are Lua files. Even the configuration, it says CFG in the name, but this is no more than a Lua file. This thing here in green are the comments. This here are the strings, which is the theme's name, but this is why you can use this. I mean, Phalaris is not a variable in the engine, but this is. No one stated the Phalaris variable before, but you can use this to call the name. That's why when someone, for example, set this up wrongly without using the quotes, it fails for them. So that's basically the basics of what I'm trying to explain right here. I know this is going terrible, but I'm doing my best. It's the first slide I'm making. So, what is this now? And I was going to talk also about the exclusive functions some coders can use to make plugins for extremely taboo. So, for example, you have a support forum which you can use to, for example, when writing an error message, you can say, for example, get the idea? You can do something like that. You also have the seg plus version string which you can use to verify if your plugin is used in the correct seg plus version, or to something like this and some info, for example. And so on. This is the directory where you are running external debut from, and if you have a distinct tray, you can also use a string or use this string to know which is the main executable in the disk. Usually, when it is a game, it is something like sleuths and some numbers after it. This here is a boolean, which you can use to know if you are running in a PSX DVR, Japanese one, not the PlayStation one. And you can also use it to know what you can do. For example, you can you can't open a disk tray in Slim consoles by using a command, but In PSX DVR you can do it, but if you say, for example, that every console inside, let's say, if they have, for example, Rumble and 200 and end up, then you can use the command to open the drive. Well, there is a version of PSX that actually is over 200 and can puke out a disk, can puke the disk out and using a command. So you can properly use this. You can use this to properly know when you can and when you're in a PSX and what you can do with it. So now this one will be kind of useful for theme makers. As you can see, some of the theme samples that are bundled with the Christmas package shows the time in the corner, but it is done uses these specific functions. These are the coordinates in the screen, for example, where you want to draw the timestamp, but you can do it also without year. And well, you can change that in the themes you have and look at that. For the ones making some math tricks and so on in their interfaces or the plugins they are making and so on, XEB will include some basic math functions. In the Christmas version, this is the function we are using to round numbers, for example. But in the final one, we will keep this one for compatibility, for backwards compatibility with other plugins, but also we will do a full math library with simple functions so the users don't have to be looking, for example, how can I write down the number and how can I easily take a percentage of this or something alike. So going back now for the settings variable. Wait a second. These here are strings which show you can mark us mods. What is TNA saying here? You can mark us mods. Wait, can I? Okay. Give me a sec. Sorry for interrupting. Enable modding. So Explorer, you can see. Okay. Wait a second. So this is going terrible, right? Okay, TNA, you are mod now. I leave you on top. So, as you guys can see, let's try this. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see. Is this any good? Is that any good? Let me know. It's kinda also hard to do all of this because it's like a lag at YouTube where I'm reading the messages and I'm speaking and what I'm doing appears like a minute and a half later, so For the time I continue, you will, I don't know, probably have everything solved, but anyway, I'm back here. So I will do a resume of what I said before. In any case, you guys missed it. So this is a variable you can use to know which is the support forums that has. Right now it is PSX place, and it is a string you can use in your error messages or anything as of displaying for displaying the official support forum. This is a string for the extremely debut version. This is the path from where you're running extremely debut. This is the executable path in the disk. It is also a string. This is a boolean, true or false, used to know if you are running extremely debut in a PSX DVR. And these are the functions used in the themes to draw the time with or without the gear in the screen. So, going back to sorry, this is also what we are what we are using in the Xmas version for showing. I'm reading YouTube. I'm going back here. Okay, and this is what we use in the Xmas version to know and to round a number, but in future versions we will do a full simplified math library which you can use for this. This will not be the function used in future versions, but we will also keep that one for backwards compatibility with previous plugins. So now, if you want to know which thing is loaded or something in extremely good, you can use this. I mean, this is the folder where the theme is. For this is the video mode. It is being used, for example, NTSC or PAL in extremely good. This shows which is the internal language of extremely debut in, like in, for example, NUS. These are strings, by the way. Let me set this as a comment. Or, for example, now in the Christmas version, only these three are available, but in the next versions, you can use any external language you want. I intentionally limited which languages can be used so people doesn't start making incomplete translations of an interface which is limited. But you can actually do translations and use them as plugins. So for example, let's get here. This is a translation for extremely debut. This is English actually. So you could take the already existing strings and translate them, make the table, do this, and save them instead of as a language as a plugin. So you can go ahead and do very basic translation stuff, but take this in consideration. Set the plugin to verify if they are using or not the Christmas build, because in future builds the string table will not be the same. So if anyone gets a translation which doesn't matches the version, it will be a problem. So take that in consideration. And also, ex-gamer, you know you can add custom languages to settings, right? Yeah, you can. So why not trying to take what you already have in hand and, I don't know, making something so people can decide which external languages they can use? I don't know, make a new format for them which you can translate to string a little bit directly and make it only works with settings. Use your imagination. Now you have something to do now. Well, button settings, this is also a string. It is simple. It could be or X, or it could be simply circle. It is used to know in which preference the user have regarding the button that is in use. Now, going to this system language, it is a number in this case. It goes from 0 from 0 to 7, and they are the languages that are listed here. So 0 for Japanese, 1 for English, 2 for French, 3 for Spanish, 4 for German, 5 for Italian, and 6 for, this was Dutch in English. I'm kind of confused with German now, but German was Dutch and Dutch, so this is Dutch. Okay, so, and this is in, and 7 for Portuguese. So, and now, childproof mode, this is a boolean, which you can use to verify inside your plugin if settings is in childproof mode or not. Meaning that if childproof mode is locked, you can log stuff inside your application too. For example, this is for you again, ex-gamer. In OLE, you can say, for example, that if childproof mode is true, then, for example, users can't delete files or do stuff like that. So this will mean that user, for example, can browse files, launch executables, read documents, and so on, but they can move, they can copy, or well, they can copy, but they can overwrite, something like that. And you can set up limitations inside OmniLaunch Elf and, well, take advantage of the childproof mode which is enabled inside Extreme Little Boot. Okay, so then I will open the browser in case someone wrote something here. Hey, Victor is here. Hello. So now let's continue with this. This is also something programmers can use to simply display an error. So you can set whatever string you want here, like for example, in this X bad thing happened, and that's it. You can use, like for example in PSP, you can use the system functions to display messages, launch a keyboard, and so on. Well, in Streaming Elite Boot it's the same. Right now there is not so much we have already done for that, but for example there's already an OS key, and I'm finishing things for, I have to finish the configuration today for that. Varian just sent me the icon like, let's say 2 hours ago or something, and well, that's it. I have to finish the on-screen keyboard. But going back to this, in the future there will be more like that. For example, a dialog copy message and stuff people can use to simply say, I want to do this and please simplify the life for me. This actually displays an error like this, for example, in the screen, two lines on top and some text here. That's what it does. When you press the button, it goes back and that's it. No more than that. Now, if you are making an application and want to launch an elf from it, well, we have already made a lot of variants, and I have some insanity with elf launching. I have stuff to fix right now, but the easier stuff up to the Christmas version is launching elf using this function. What it does? Well, simply you can set the string here, like for example nc0 boot boot.elf, and it will load it from there. You can say here if it should fade out or not. Here is everything. This it. This and I will share today as something kinda special in the server. The source for it is not the source. I mean the script or whatever I'm using right now here. So you all can take a look at this and take the functions I have here, so you can copy and paste them and paste them. This is not something final. This is not something you should store. This is something you can simply use for easiness. So if you are in the Extreme Boot interface and you want to fade out to the item directly, you can use this. So if you do a trigger script and want to fade out to an icon, well, just say 1, or else you can say 0. Now, this here is a string. It decides what to do, if reboot the IOP or unload some driver set or doesn't reboot it at all. For most stuff, the default is okay. Don't reboot the IOP and you're good with it. So, as I said, default is okay. Or you can reboot the default USB driver and load the others one from ROM 0, or use the default USB driver and load the homebrew ones which are embedded or doesn't reboot. Or, oh, I forgot about this. You can also use a script, call the script, and then put the path to it, and it will also load it. I don't remember if I enabled this in the Christmas version. I honestly took this one from the latest build, but anyway, and check it out. If it works, you can use this function in your own script to load the IRX files, or you can use external, etc, etc, etc. Look at settings for what they all do exactly, but you get the idea. Settings displays information about what each one of that is for. So you can set this to default, and now the disk IRX is usually a bit problematic with some disk-based applications or some scene demos. So in case you want to load from a disk, yeah, you should enable this. But if you are booting from memory card, avoid using the disk unless you know your homebrew needs that. Okay, so now the loader method. This could be 1 or 2. It is a number, as simply as that. I have two loaders set up for easiness. And well, usually the default one is just okay. But if you have any issues with the default loader, you can switch to the second one, which is based in the one used in uLaunch shelf. So it is not the one embed in sorry, this is not the one the SDK embeds once you compile a software, but instead it is the one I took from your launch shelf and merged back in there. But for most things you can use one and that's it. Now let's get to this. This is a set. This right here is a set of system functions that are not in Enceladus. I have been explaining right here everything that is exclusive to Extreme Boot that is not available on Enceladus. So you can go and check the other functions in Daniel Santos' GitHub page and get an overall idea. There are there for with descriptions and so on. I am explaining here what's only exclusive to String Little Boot. So normal exit. Well, I will give a quick explanation on this. This is on the SDK. This simple as this. Just the normal exit that loads that boosts directly to the browser. It is the exit method used in OPL, for example. Now, exit to browser. This is an assembler function. I mean, this is a Lua function button. What's behind it? It's an assembler function, which also it is used to exit directly. It is the mainly one used, and it works like rebooting the console, kinda. So that's it. This is for powering off. I think it is quite simple to understand. I mean, just like stand up and press the button. Basically, it closes all the modules open and then shuts down the console. That's it. Now, this doesn't need anything else to work, but let's go to this. Oh, sorry. I will turn this back to normal so when I share the file it is ready. Easier to understand. Now, with this, you can use a string and say, for example, I want to load this file. And it will load that IRX file into the IOP. That's basically it. It is nothing so complex of any sort. Now, this one below here. It is for loading but the encrypted executables, like for example, the DVD player. So, this also takes a string, yeah, but and it has to be encrypted. So, you can load the DVD player from ROM 0 or from the memory card using that, or you can use it to load, for example, well, sorry, I made a mistake right here. Ah, damn. Was the DVD player a IRX encrypted? No, it was not. Because sorry, I messed it up right there. I tweaked things in my brain. Well, I will load the code for the Christmas showcase and show you. What is this really used for? Sorry for the stupid thing I just done. So, as you can see here, this is an encrypted IRX from ROM 0. In case you have, from ROM 1 actually, in case you have one like this, but stored somewhere else, for example in the memory card or so on, you can use that function to load it. But of course, as I said, it is for encrypted files. And IRX files don't mess with encrypted data of my mind. I use this one specifically to fix stuff in the DVD player. That's why my brain mix them up. So I will give a regular explanation. If I don't do this when booting up, well, simply I can't use Extreme to boot later to launch the DVD player. That's basically it. Let's get back to this. This launches a DVD game from disk. It is as simple as calling it and it will boot up the game. No more complex than that. It is as simply as that. This one here, well, it is for the DVD player. It is used to launch either the DVD player in the memory card or the DVD player in the console itself. And in case you have a disc, a movie disc inside the console, you can use that for booting. But ESR discs are recognized as DVD video until the ESR IRX file is loaded. Once you load it, let's for example use a trigger script here and I will show this on the screen. Let's make it bigger. If you use this trigger script here and load the ESR IRX, then you will be and you will be now recognizing every, and I mean every, movie disc as a game. So what you can use to verify this, you can check if the disc is patched with ESR or not. If it isn't, well, it could be also a DVD movie which is also being recognized as the kind of disc for PS2. So that's a mess right there. So how to know if what you have in hand is a movie or not? Well, it is simple. Just verify if there is a system.cnf file in the disk. If it is not one right there, well, you can use the function to boot the DVD, or if it is one, you can use this to launch the game. Just be sure to reboot the IOP first, so ESR is not messing with everything. There is a function for that inside the code, actually. Wait a second, let's find it. Let's look for this directly. See here, this is what you can use to directly load it. But wait a second, I'm reversing engineering my own code right now. So it is right here. This is what you can use to know if you are having or not a movie disc. You can check this value if in Extreme Boot if it is watch the movie or not. But if you want to do it your own way, you can do this. If I recall correctly, this stands for PS2 DVD. This here stands for unknown path in the ELF, so there is no system CNF, and this is a 0. So, as I say here, this is in case the most probable result is that ESR is on and the user really tried to play a movie. So, if that's the case, you can use this app, as I said, to boot the DVD player. That's some triggering we have there, which is not present, for example, and obviously in the system browser, the official system browser for the PS2, which can handle if the user is using or not ESR and launches properly or not a movie disc, and that's basically it. And this here is for launching PS2 games with the logo. Now, this one here is problematic, like a lot, and I will explain why. That function is not working in some consoles right now. It is failing to boot in two slims I have right here, and but it is working for XEB Arena console. It work on in another slim of the with the very same serial number, sorry, model number of the one I have here. So there is something wrong on my init or in something else. I certainly don't know what I'm doing wrong with that. I need to find out what's exactly wrong with it so I can fix it for the next release. But if you want to use it, be my guest. Already XGamer did in settings. So it is the function I showcased before in one of my videos, which loads the original system menu and then patches it so in displays a button below in boot style so you can go back to mc0 boot.delf, and that's basically it. It is what it does. It patches it and then boots dev1 if you do that. Of course, you aren't using the Christmas version of dev1, but you can set up you launch or something there to boot back to it if you want to. So play in your playground, as some said. So it is, this here is a number, it is not a string, and it is not this. Check, this is in lowercase, this is in high case. This is just for an example. This variable is not exactly what you're going to use in your code. So you can force the video output to 1 if NTSC or to 2 if PAL. How this could be useful? For example, if you have a PAL console but you are living in Cuba, for example, where we use NTSC, you can patch the video and boot when the browser patch to NTSC. It is using boot source there. So I took that from, I think was Neme, the one, or Nimi, how should I pronounce it? Well, anyway, and I think it was Nimi, the one who made that code. So yeah, I'm using the bit of code that is mentioned in the about section in the credits. So also this go to internet browser here is one you can set to 0 for boot from directly the SCE logo, watch the towers and everything, or you can set it to 1 and boot directly to the inner browser where you can see the memory card, the disk, and so on. So that's it. You can set this to, for example, let's say 1 and 0, and I will boot the browser patch obviously and to NTSC and will boot from the very start of the boot sequence. That's basically it. So now I will go for some examples, and as you can see, well, you can see it now. I will enable it. See this right here? This is the latest build of Xtinator Boot. As you can see, for example, there is the multi-elf support which was removed in the Christmas version. You can, for example, press triangle there for other versions, launch the main one and stuff like that. There is the settings here, not settings with an X, I mean the real ones, and well, it is all here. Now, I will now show you an example of what you can do with some of the things I said before. So, let's show you something that the public version doesn't have, shall we? This is a debug menu. And you can launch it by pressing select on top of the interface. Of course, you can remove it if you want to. It is in an external file, so anyone can provide which information they want to the debug for the debug to display. It works basically like a trigger script, but doesn't have childproof limitations. So, well, now you know. Now, as you may see, the interface behind is a little bit slower. Well, it is because in this version there are physics in the theme, and the themes also have been changed to work with that. We have, for example, wind and gravity working right here. So the wind speed is what is being used for the interface to move at certain speed. And of course, this version of XMB wave works with wind. So let's change the speed. You can use the debug menu to change the wind speed if you want to. Make it as low as you want, set it a little bit faster or whatever. That's stuff you can do now. So yeah, that's basically it. And oh, the gravity. See the dust in there? Well, yeah. The dots are working with gravity themselves to know if they are next to you or not. Of course, this is not how it will be in the final. This is just some values I'm changing right here. For that, in the testing, I will do something with its real gravity, and like I'm moving down right here. But yeah, that's how it works. So if I, let's say, speed this up like an assignment and change the gravity to this, you will notice the changes here. But why this? Well, just like the debug menu can show some, so I can modify it, sorry. You can also do it in any plugin you want. For example, let's say that you go here to PubCX. Of course, there's nothing here. Obviously, I have an open drive in there. But if you want to the interface to freeze when you are inside PubCX, you can code it. So PubCX freezes the interface once you are in there. Or if you want it to move faster while you are loading or something like, well, you can do that. That's the reason it is there. So that's it. You can imagine you can do this, for example, and move it faster inside PubCX. That's something people will be able to do later. Of course, you can always turn the things back to normal, for example. See here? Select and yeah, back to normal. All make it more easy to notice. Select and it is back to normal. See? You can also restore the default values, which will be always 1 for wind and gravity. And that's it. That's basically it. Now, and let's go to the example, in fact. Wait a second, I will resize this down. And what I'm going to show you is from the latest build. So this here is the debug menu, and let's say this will not work properly in the Christmas version because of this. What is that? Well, um, This is what's telling the, the debug menu and any plugin you load, or for example the on-screen keyboard, what's in the background. So it has said, wait a second. Oh, I will load the code for the new version. For the example, I should not do this. Okay, so let's get here. This is the default one, of course, but look at here. Before we load a trigger script, Xgamer should be noticing there are changes here. Well, anyway, so before we load some stuff, like for example the debug menu, this is done, and it says what is on the background. So so you can draw on top of it and doesn't have to worry about what's behind it. Meaning, for example, you can set this up first, this thing right here, and then launch the on-screen keyboard on extremely debut, and it will display whatever you say it should display here, and that's it, no more than that. So the debug menu is loading with the background here, but of course if I come to this and let's say, for example, let's remove this math and say, where's the win math in here? I'm losing this. I'm literally reverse engineering my code right here, as I did this like time ago. So wait a second. Okay, where's the code for the spin, for the win spin? Win. We'll do this faster this way. Haha. Okay, so here it is. I can set this to this and this, and then as you can see the spin isn't modified unless in the moving upwards and downwards, because I haven't changed the code in there. But with just changing this couple of numbers here, I don't know if you guys can watch it, and I just remember now that I have a screen right on top of it. So sorry for my dumbness. I will put this on the border. So if I set it to no math at all, it will just show it in the default speed, as you can see. But if I do some math, it is loaded as it should. And you can see it is loaded in real time also, because as I said, it is an external file. It is not bundled in saying the code or the binary or something. So you can modify it in real time and change stuff, which could be a little bit useful if, for example, we later add FTP support, which is a planned feature. It is not right there, but it should be, if not for the main release, for our next one. So yeah, you can debug in real time if you want to, and changing stuff in real time. So in this debug menu, for example, you can see, I will explain what's visible right here, right now. You can see the extreme elite boot version. Wait a second. You can see the extreme elite boot version right here. You can see the free RAM, the freebie RAM, and don't worry, I know this is going down, but it will be back on top like in no time. You can see the console rumble. You can check if this is running on a PSX or not, and this is for the angels not to understand it. I mean, that's the key combination to unlock the childproof mode, which is configurable in the latest version. Of course, it has the default one in there: up, down, down, left, right, X circle, but and then start. But it will not be like that in the final version, as people will be able to set things up in any way they want. So they can set up any code they like and have it there. In case they forget it, they can simply go here, use the debug menu, and let's see what this is for. See, these buttons I'm pressing in right here. Wait a second. Here. So these are the keys I'm showing. I'm pressing in the keyboard, of course, but that's how they are representing the pad, the gamepad. So extreme boot understands N is start, left is L, and sorry, and right is L, left is J, and so on. So you can have an idea on which key they are and figure out your own code. Of course, you can remove the debug menu, and for example, if you leave the console with your kids or anything, you can remove it and then set it back up, and by pasting the files back and know what the code is. So yeah, that's basically it. And the video mode is here. The language in use, this English, the external English, not the one bundled. I mean the file I loaded minutes ago. And this here is the system language, which is also set to English. And this is the theme in use. So let's get to the code, shall we? I will resize this to the bare minimum, but you already have an idea on what this does. So you remember the stuff I mentioned, like I will close this, I will close this too, I will close this. And now, you remember I chose some variables in here and so on. Well, let's go with this, for example, a 6 plus version. And let's get here. Where's the main loop? This is the main loop. So, as you can see, we are displaying it here, and also, wait a second. Yeah, let's do this way. So, and you can also see it here in the emulator. See, so this is what it is displaying. We are concatenating strings by doing this. So how you can sum strings here is by doing, for example, let's say, let's break this up. String 1 plus variable and this, and if x equals a, the final string will be this, a, this. This is what it will display. I hope this is easy to understand, but that's it. You can also use numbers. Here, it will understand numbers and transform them directly to to what you need to. I mean, it will transform it directly to the string you want to concatenate. I said it wrong. Again. I will transform it to the string and concatenate it to the string you are concatenating. Okay, this here is a function from Enceladus which shows the free memory, and this one here shows the free video memory. See here and see here. And back here to the code, Z. Well, this is what is here too. It is displayed also in the interface. So it is basically it. You can use the functions which are in Enceladus to display stuff in the interface, and that's basically it. Now let's get back here. as you can see, this was just an example of what you can do with that. But let's bring this from the very beginning to show you how you can make a extremely debug plugin in Lua from scratch. I will trim this to the bare bones and explain from there. So what this is doing here, for starters, is checking if we are launching from Extreme Elite Boot or not. Why? Because yeah, Lua scripts can also be used in Enceladus, but the functions will not match. Not in most cases. I mean, in most cases it will be, but not in all cases. So from there to here, it will only run this if it is running from Extreme Elite Boot Plus. So here we set up a color using again a function from Enceladus, and well, that's it. We set up the color we'll be using in this string, and this one's right here. Now back to this. There we can see I'm taking the let's call them physics variables, which we use for the thing, which as I said they are default to 1 and so on. And in case any application you are running with debug has already modified them, we are not using the defaults, but we are making a copy of the ones you had once you boot. So when we finish, we can set them back to what you already had. See what I mean? Well, let's move from here. And this is a loop, as I explained before. So for 5 times, as you can see here, let's see, as you can see here, it will do what is in here. From here to here. Now I will say something. It is true that you can be messy and do stuff like this, but please, for everyone to understand your code in the future, use tabs to separate the loops and so on, so it is easier for them to understand, for the other people to understand what they are looking at. Don't do this, and instead please write it the right way. So right here we are slowing down the wind, and then we are moving the interface up. You ever guess why this is for? Well, now you know what it is for. That's how we move the interface here, moving it entirely, not just the dashboard, which is doable in the latest version, not in the Christmas one, but the whole interface, which you can do right now in the Christmas version. So we are moving that to the top, then we are reading the controllers. Bear with me here, I will explain this later. Then we are drawing the background as I explained before, and then we will be drawing a rectangle with black in the bottom. That rectangle is what you are seeing here. See? Okay. So, of course, if you want to know how you can use this function with more details, please read the Enceladus documentation. There you go. Then we print some text in the screen. The one you see here, this, and this 3 lines of text. So let's get to this. This one, as you can see, prints this up here only. Wait a second. This one here prints this only. I will make this smaller and eating too much screen. And then let's get to this. If we are running from a PS cross, we will say, of course, we are running from it right here. Or if we not, or if we are not, well, will we also say that here? So if is console PSX, which also means this, and you can use it in the opposite way if you want to, but bear with me. This is the most simple way to simplify coding, to check if something is true, if this, there, and if not, means the same as. Okay, so that's a simpler way to do that. So if it is a PSX, it will show this with this specific thing right here, this yes, or else it will do the same but with a no. It will show the complete key code, which also you can use any application you want to change it on the fly, even in the Christmas version. So Xgamer, there you have. You can also set people and well allow people to change the the yes the parental key code in settings. You just need to save the key code somewhere. You can do it. You can allow them. You can bring this function. So there you have it. And also, well, it will display the number. Hey, I forgot actually to show this before, so I will add it back here for you all to have it later on this document. It simply shows the number. It is a string, and well, that's mostly it. And then it displays another block of text, this one right here. Let's get back to this. And well, that's mostly it. And also concatenates strings and so on, but you already know. Ah, wait a second. This here is a number, as I said before. And as you can see here, it turned into a string. So, for example, if you want to, let's say, mm, this, and you want to turn this into string, you can say and it will work. So yeah, there you got it. That's it mostly. So going back to this now, and I'm catching here the the keys I'm showing in the screen. Remember I showed some keys right here, the ones I'm pressing, for example. See? Well, what we are doing there are, as you can see, it shows them as soon as I press them or stop pressing them. So when it is doing here is it defines a string with the key code actually, and then it starts concatenating the string above to a code set by every key. So it is checking if we are pressing certain key in this pad. Remember we said this before here? Remember we said this before here? Well, it is checking, and one if we are pressing up here, and then it is concatenating the string we have before to this if so, meaning that if I press I there, but if I go back here and as you can see down is K, if I press and I and K, you have this. one after the other. It doesn't matter if I press K first and later if I press down and later up, it will always do it in this specific order. It is not storing what I have pressed before, like for example smasher dose. It is just concatenating in this way. So it does this for every key, and then it prints this in that specific screen position. That's mostly it. Now, let's get back to this. This for the pad 2. What we are doing here is turning the pad. Well, I will show it here in this other where we are already playing with gravity and so on. What I'm showing here is that I'm turning the pad into the old pad. Why? Well, you can press and hold. This here only checks if you are pressing the pad right now in the interface. If you are pressing that button, if you are pressing that button in the interface in that specific moment, but it doesn't verify if it was pressed before. So if you are pressing and holding, for example, an action will repeat unless you say this and not this. Of course, this function here is checking a boolean. This pad checks returns a boolean, true or false. Remember what I said before about true or false? Well, if I do this, it will also work. So that's the idea, mostly. So if you don't want to stop being trapped in the menu, be broken by a press and hold, instead of doing this to show the key only, this B right here, you can do this to exit. So let's get back here and show it to you what I meant. So I do this or this, see? But if I press and hold B here, the B is being displayed on screen right here, but it is not taking me back from the menu. But if I press it again, it will take me back. Why? Because it was checking in the code if I had it pressed before or not. See? Well, that's it mostly. Yeah, that's basically it. Of course, in here, in this debug menu, we can speed things up by pressing L1 or R1. Make it slower, make it faster, change the item's position of gravity, and so on. It is changing the size in the thing, but as I explained before, that's not what we are doing later. But yeah, that's it. And you can do this to turn it back to normal, but by pressing the button here, it is doing some math tricks, as you know. So let's check these math tricks right here. We also do them on press and hold. So if you are constantly pressing R1, it will add some win to the internal debug win you are using. Or if you press L1, it will reduce this from the win. The same goes for gravity below. So that's it. And then it will do this here. Wait a second. To modify the win in the theme. That this is the global external debug variable, not the one in the debug menu. The ones in debug are named like this. And this is something I want to bring attention to, as I've seen, for example, that Xgamer is not using common variable, it's using very common variables like, um, for example, let's say files instead of, for example, OLE files or OLE files or whatever he wants. We are using a lot of global variables in external debug, and we want everything to stay as global as possible, so you can use stuff like this in your own code and modify stuff in the interface from your own code. That's one of the reasons, like for example, Xgamer is able to make a totally new dashboard using a theme in the classic, I think he called it all XEB plus theme or something like. So that's why he was able to do that. And since we are using global variables, you call, for example, override something you don't want to override. And yeah, we should avoid that the most. If you change a global variable in your code, it will affect everything in the dashboard. So make your own variables like this one. Add some unique text in the start of it, and that's it. So after doing some math, as shown here, the base in the base wine we have from right here from before. See, we can go here, add the debug wine we are having, and then we have the total wine in the interface. I'm sorry, there's something I did wrong here. It is not the default one from right here. It is the one we set before here. I didn't explain this, but we do some math to reduce the wine speed while we are moving into the debug menu. So it is slowly slowing down. And then we set that here. It should be 0.20. This is not the original speed, this is the one we are using as a base, the one we went back down. So after that, we come here, add the 0.2 to the one we have modified, and then we have the wind we are using. Same goes for gravity. Afterwards, we do some tricks here. As you can see, final variable equals this minus this. It could be, for example, this for plus, this for multiplication, and this to divide. That's basically it. So we can simply do some math tricks here, and then I'm literally trying to figure out what I've coded here ago. Anyway, and right here we are trying to reverse the wind to the original and moving the dashboard to the original position. So after that, when the animation is finished, in case there is, for example, a wrong math, like instead of 1, we restore the exact number here. But we try to do all of this by pure maths. So yeah, that's it. This is the word explanation I did on how to do maths. So basically, this is A, this is C, and this is X. You can set the variables before, or you can set the numbers right here. This will be 0, for example, and then this equals 0, this will be 1. That's basically it. You can change this for anything you want, and that's it. Really amazing explaining things up, really. I should prepare stuff more properly. Anyway, and let's go to some string and to some screen stuff here. For example, as you can see here, we are drawing some stuff on the screen, we are doing some malarkey, but I will trim this to the bare bones. I will delete all of this and only let this. So, and I will bring back, well, I just closed the modern source. Well, anyway, I will not be bringing anything. And right here you know that we were, well, I will bring back the old source. Wait a second. The old source, no, the modern source. So that equals this. And let's do some adjustments. See like this. Okay, I will try to reduce this. It is quite visible. Okay, I will keep it like that. So here we are drawing. We are clearing the screen first. Then we draw the background. Let's assume the background is always filtered. Let's assume that it is not the case. It will not always be, but bear with me. Here we are calling the variable which is holding the background image index. Then we draw it at 0 and plus value plus 0 on the screen. Plus value is now move to a certain position, but it will usually be 0 unless you tweak it. Then we draw this from the theme file, we draw the interface, we spin the disk, we want it to be moving like, sorry, I didn't save? Yeah, I didn't save. Okay, this is cool. We want it to be moving, we want it to be spinning right there, so we say the disk should be spinning. Then we draw the overlay of the theme and we print. Well, I will show what we print. This is what we print, and right here. See this? Okay, so we print that. Yeah, then we wait for it to finish blending on the screen. Then we set the pad and then we flip the screen. Why flip? Well, imagine you have two canvas, for example, this, and this is what you are showing on the screen, and this is what you are drawing on the background. You start doing this and drawing this bunch of zeros. Then you already had this on the screen. You are, let's say, drawing this, and you are watching this on the screen. Okay? So, when we finish drawing this, we flip this here. and now you are watching this, and we will be drawing on top of this. So that's why we go here and we clear the screen. So we do this. See what I'm doing? We come here, we draw the background like this. Let's draw it like in, let's say this is the background. Then we draw the theme background, not the pure background asset here. And then we draw the interface. Sorry. Then we made the DC spin, then we draw the overlay. Let's say this is the overlay. And then we go back here and we write the other string. And it is hi Bob. And that's basically it. It draws that, and then we wait for the PS2 to finish drawing. I mean, we already told him what to draw, but he's internally still drawing these layers. And then when it finishes, we flip the screen. Of course, we say this here also because we want the pad to be detected as soon as we finish the frame, or else it will be turned into all pad in half a frame. So by doing this here and this here, we ensure we get the whole frame for us in pack detention. Once we do that, we flip the screen, and this goes here, this goes here, and then you're watching this. And then we can draw here, we clear the screen, and so on. And that's it. That's the basics on how you draw something. I should do some chapters later on this video. I will, so people can go directly on how to do certain stuff. But yeah, that's mostly. Let's turn this and hit Ctrl and C to the beginning, and that's it. Well, that's the example I have to show most of the stuff. Of course, there's other things you can do, like for example, move the interface to offsets and so on, but that's not of any use in the actual version of the actual public version of Stream Debut. It is only useful in the modern one. So let's get now to make some plugins. Why not? Let's go here. Let's get back to OPL, for example. This is the one in the Christmas version, not the one in the actual build. The actual build is, let's call it a bit different. But let's turn this back to this. Let's simplify it. So, again, this here is a single elf type of plugin. Most of the plugins out there are either something like this, which calls a Lua script, or something like this, which calls an elf file, but it is basically the same. So for the categories here, you can easily understand the numbers. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. Easy, right? Okay, so 3 is intended for PS2 games. You can use it for whatever you want, but bear with me. It is intended for PS2 games. This is for retro. This is for media. And this is for whatever else you want to throw here. So, That's it, basically. So now here, the name and description of them. So you might be asking, why are we using a table here? Well, let's get back the to the modern version and grab a language. For example, the English one. So, as you can see, we are grabbing, wait, not there, here, the application name from this position in the table. So, if we go here, we see it is OPL, OpenPS2 Loader. Why, if the name isn't something we usually change, why it is being called from a table? Well, it is something you don't usually change in when using Roman languages, or I mean languages that use the Roman chart set. But if, for example, you come here and say, for example, open, yeah, and well, open, and there you have it, and turn into another language. Some users, some speakers of other languages are more comfortable reading their own language, even if it is malarkey, like supido instead of speed, reading in their own instead of reading something in other language. So we kept that in there for that specific reason. Of course, the language table is not finished even now, and we will add the names for almost every existing application or homebrew game so far published for PS2. So when translators are translating it to, for example, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, even Arabic, they can simply write whatever they want there, and it will be displayed in that language of them. The same goes for the description here. We are grabbing it from the table and so on. So why do we grab them from a table? Well, instead of just saying, sorry, I left this in Japanese. Instead of saying this, for example, in OBL, and well, that's the reason, because not everyone speaks the same language as the one who made the plugin. And we will also like to add as much possible descriptions to everything. Like, for example, we here have the names for the different systems, and we can also merge them in any string we want using the and here. For example, this, and this, as in this, and this. By doing that, we have a custom string of, let's say, the emulators that Pico Drive supports, and we can translate it on the fly by simply concatenating the different strings there, as in, let's say, this. It is this from here, then this, see, from here, and then, oh, I said the same one again, and then, and this. So it says this, this, and this. Get the idea? That's basically it. So if you can use a table for your own plugins, it will be always the best option. Of course, you can come here and use this if the name isn't registered or anything in the language file, but you get the point. Now, let's get to this icon. It is the index of the icon in the table. If you look, well, I have no window open like this. Wait a second, I will load the thing and show you off. Okay, so Christmas version, XMB wave. No, let's open Phalaris by Varian. So you can have a clear view of the icons. And I will open it. I will add a window here. Wait a second. Capture window. Wait a sec. It is here. Let's make it visible. I will make it smaller and close this here so you can watch better. Wait a sec. There's a lot on top of directory opus there. Let's make this bigger and that's it. Well, there you have the icons in the Phalaris thing Varian did. And let's get here, Christmas version. Yes, I'm trying to watch two screens at the same time. I'm getting insane right here. Let's get back to plugins and icon numbers for plugins. So this is what we have here. Why I'm doing this? Let's take this out and put this here. These are the names for the these are the numbers for each icon in the list in the theme files. So meaning that where did I here, meaning that this, if you look for it here, it is IC tool OPL, right? So let's get here and I see sorry, I didn't. Let's get here and say it is for IC tool OBL, which is this. Of course, Varian left a lot of Y icons here, and Varian, please fill them. If you are not using them, just make a copy of the other one, because in the end, people can use multiple variations in their own applications. For example, let's say we are going to make a plugin for an S emulator, and let's drop that there. So we look here for, this is quite simple, category, emulator, type of file, group, homebrew game for HBG, set for settings, tool for, well, tools, and X for extremely debug related stuff. So let's say I want to make a plugin for I want to make two plugins for two different Game Boy emulators. There are so many. I can use this number in one and set it here for it, and use this other number for another one. and set it there for that one. So meaning, and let's look at here, that if someone uses this, it will be a blank icon instead of this. And it is useful in things like diorama or the game here. Wait a sec, hold on a minute, where we have variety of colors. So you can, if your theme is colorful, you can have multiple variations of it, but if it is not, you will simply duplicate the icon and that's it. So theme makers out there, please don't do this. Fill it entirely. Copy and paste them as much as you want. It is for the best, and plugin creators can make a good use of it. So then here we want to boot the app from various paths, and I will say this: while it is true that the Christmas build is not launching by default from memory card because of the lack of RunFS support for the themes, and they take a lot to load from there. Well, the future versions will be. And we want to prioritize loading from first, let's say, mass as in the pen drive, then from the memory card, and then next to extreme elite boot. Why? Why in that specific order? Because if you say this is the first boot priority, then it will be an issue and in case you have an application next to you in the memory card and want to load the one you, for example, have in your pen drive instead, the priority will be inverted. And of course, it will also mean it will look for the plugin in the less possible position where it should be when it is on the final version. Of course, in the Christmas version, most people are placing the applications next to Extreme Elite Boot, which is this. If you don't add a device like this or like this at the beginning, it will assume you are loading it next to String Elite Boot, meaning it will be something like this, for example. Just don't do this, just understand what I'm doing. Get the point? That's what it will be understanding that way. So yeah, that's how you can create a plugin, a simple plugin setting that there. If your plugin is not an elf and it's a Lua, then you can do something like this. Of course, wait a second, we'll revert this. Okay, if it is a Lua file, you can call Lua script and set the file is right here in this place, for example. Now, if you don't have any other boot path, then you can simply do this and write none. That's it, no more than that. And now, I will explain something based on this so you can have an idea on how you can add your own custom icon to your applications if there is no one in the themes file. So if you want to make a plugin and you want to add your own icon, well, please look at this. So if you are using the Christmas version, which was ready since September, but anyway, if you are using the Christmas version or other versions we have in there, then it will simply do this. Check for the plugin if it exists, and sorry, I mean, and it will set a default icon first, and in case something fails, calling the 50 item, which is as you can see here, Homebrew Games, a generic icon. This one for Homebrew Games, in case it is not found. Then it will check if the icon file exists. Of course, if it does, it will load it. And no, sorry, I'm going faster than I should. We'll check the icon. Then, in case we are using older versions which doesn't know or have indexed this icon, this specific icon in the library, then we simply do this. We check if we are using the theme, the game theme, on load a colorful icon in that case, and if not, we load a plain icon. Or else, if it is already in the database, of course the modern version has it as you can see here, it has it in the database. Well, it loads it from there, and there it is. Now, for something more complex. Wait a second, I will look for Melon DS. And here we are. This is a Melon DS and it is basically the same. The preventive icon, which now I notice I left the generic homebrew game instead of generic application, but anyway. And then if we are using that specific version, we do what I already explained before here. We do this. Else, if we are on a modern version, we went here and do all of this. Why? Because in this case, the icon is not in the database. So modern extremely debut versions has an icon set defined in the theme. You know if the icon set is multicolor or plain. We'll look for a modern example. Wait a second. Let's see. Let's get to this. This is a modern example for a modern version, and as you can see here, it says plain. So it is or multicolor, or else, in this case, it's plain, simply. But if it is a multicolored theme, then you load the multicolor icon, or else you load the plain icon. That's it. No more than that. It is not so complex. It is basically the same as this here, but in other words. And well, now why are we what are we making here? I will try to trim this down and redo it so you can understand if in the same way. So we check the version. If it is the Christmas version here, then we do this, or else we go here and we do that. That's simple. No more. That's it. And if the thing loaded is the game, which is the only colorful one by default in the Christmas version, of course people can make whatever, but we have to guess here. We have no way to know which icon set we are using in the Christmas version. Then we go and load the colorful icon. So we check if the file exists in this path, and then if it does, we said we want to add this icon, so we take the amount of icons in the icon table, like in this table, we take the amount of icons, that is this one, and then we add one, meaning that this file here is about to become this. Get the point? So we add one, and sorry, are you able? No, I'm doing a malarkey here. Sorry. Sorry. I just noticed. So here again, we verify the version. If it if it is the Christmas version, we do this, or else we do this here, and then we check the theme. If it is the game, we do this, or else we do this here, which is the playing icon. If the icon, the file icon exists, we come here and take this, and we said, and the melon ds icon will be the actual number, this on here, plus 1. So then we come here, and as you can see, we already set the variable before, so this is for the app, like saying this, but of course. And then we load the icon in the table. And finally, we set that the plugin icon is, instead of this, it is now the number we set before, which is this. Simple as that. So this goes here, the same, but for the plain colors one, and this is the same, but instead of guessing if it is multicolor or not, if it is multicolor, we do this, or else we do that. But this thing right here is for the modern Xtreme Elite Boot revisions, the new builds, not the old ones. So I think that's it. I did my best to cover most of the frequently asked questions, and if there's anything else you guys wanna know, well, let me know. I'm waiting, so if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat, and if there is none, or if there is no one watching like right now, I will then close this up and start making the chapters. So go ahead, and I will be reading the chat meanwhile, so in case there is any question or something alike, but let me know. Also, if you have a question in any language but English, don't worry. I will answer in English, and I will write a translation then as subtitle when I finish the video. And yeah, that will be basically it. So I will translate your question to English so everyone understands it, but also I will provide a translation then there as subtitle when the live stream finishes. So let me know. Well, first question I saw here. É para listar jogos do OPL directo do CEP now. Well, and he asked if this was to list OPL games directly from Extremely Boot, and no, this is not. This was a roundup for the newcomers. We try to learn Lua, how Extremely Boot works, and so on. I tried to give an overall explanation of all of that. I was kind of messy at the beginning, but I think I'm now talking faster than I can, but anyway, now if you want to list games in OPL, well, in the Christmas version, I left nothing usable to launch from arguments, but you can and do some tricks like the ones made in PUBG to launch a game from a PL. Yes, you can make something complex and overly complicated to launch your own games from String Boot, even in this version, and launch them via OPL. How? Well, let's take in the same approach Pub Starter has. And Pub Starter can know which game he should launch by reading the file's name. You can code in C your own launcher that parses some argument to the extreme boot executable from a certain path. Then you can list multiple small elf files inside a folder with then well actually yeah you should do it inside a folder with the names of all your games and then list them and load them using that other executable and parse the argument based on the name like PubStarter does, but instead of doing that with PubStarter, do it with OPL. Of course, there are easier ways to do that, but in the modern revisions. And that's it. I will drop this here. And any questions, message, see it. Great. So I will be checking now. Let's see if there's other question here. Wait a sec. And how you can write files and overwrite them? Well, it is already explained in Dennis Santos' GitHub and in the Enceladus main repository. Wait a second, I will get you a link here. This is the link to it, github.com Daniel Santos slash Enceladus. So that's it. You can go there and check the functions. My speed is kinda slow here. I want to avoid loading the page, but yeah. The copy, write, and open file, close file, everything, the functions are in there. And there are also some examples in that repo if you want to look. And a better example on how to write files, look at settings by Xgamer. Settings in open and closes the configuration file and well opens, writes some stuff in the configuration file and then closes it, but that's it. And you can learn from that. There it is an already working sample you can play around with. Have any way to make apps and games with it? Yeah, of course, and that's basically what I was explaining here. But there's also already some samples with Extremely Debut. You can go to the PubC to the apps folder and then go to the Smasher folder and look at the smasher.lua file in there and open it with Notepad++ and well read it and learn from it, tweak it a bit, play around with it. There's also PostCX, which is basically more of the same I have explained here today. And of course, there are the third-party plugins like settings and so on, which you can use to learn and to see what they have done and to learn from them. If there's anything specifically you guys want me to teach about for a next video, please let me know at Discord and I will do that. Now, Clover asked how to get into PS2 coding. Well, and depends on what you want to code. As you can see here, developing an application or plugin for Extremely Boot is not complex at all. it just requires you to have some application where you can write coding like Visual Studio or Notepad++ or even the Windows Notepad, but that's messy, don't use that. Write your Lua file in it. That's the easier way. Also, there's Athena by Daniel Santos, which also which is an engine that supports Java. You can make Java applications for it in the very same fashion, or you can go the hard way and install PS2 dev and then code in C++ and so on. There's a simple script to install it. I will provide links. Wait a second. PS2dev. Wait a sec. If this slows down, well, blame my internet speed, as this is really going slow here. So this is PS2dev, when you can simply download the repo, click clone it or whatever, and then follow the instructions in there. Or if you want to code in Athena, then you can come here. So see, well, that's it. Now, for everything, wait a second. For everything else, now let's get back to this. Any good tutorial to start? Well, for Lua or Java, I think Daniel Santos have done some tutorials, but are so overall of what I have showcased here. The proper way to start is by looking at the official documentations on how to code in Java, how to code in C, how to code in Lua, and so on. But again, if you have questions about specific stuff, please ask and I will focus on answer them. And also there is I forgot it. And there is the whole internet in like forums like Stack Overflow, which answers questions to people who are coding and stuff alike. If you have any doubts on, for example, how to turn a negative number into a positive one, I mean it is number and multiply by -1, but you get the idea. And if you want to learn how to do that, just type the question in Google and that's it. Of course, say which language are you coding it, but that's basically it. Most probably thing is that someone already asked the same question in sites like Stack Overflow or something. You can also take a look at the already existing code and try to play around with it, change stuff, test if they work, and give them a try. Then that's it, most of it. Are the tests done in an emulator or in real hardware? Well, Visor, we are doing the test, and right now the one you are seeing here in the screen was done in emulation, but of course I also test stuff in real hardware to see if everything I did in the emulator works as expected. So this is any other question here. One thing, if you don't put a question mark, I am not reading the text. I am looking for question marks all over here. I will read everything later with calm, but now I will be looking here for questions. No, there is no other question here. So that's it. Then I guess I will end the stream right now. So like you have like, let's say in 20 seconds, if you want to type a question, just drop a dot or something right now, and if I don't see anything, well, I will just stop right here. Okay. Mm, since then, that's it. That's the end of it. So for the four of you who are still watching, thanks. And that's it. See you on the next live stream. Please go to Discord. I will take an invite. I'm right here for later on. Well, my core just crashed. Chrome just crashed on here, but it seems that the streaming app is still working. No, it wasn't Chrome, it was my mouse. What the? This could be bad. Let's check. Ah, it is back. So, um, I will grab an invite and I will drop it here in the screen too. Yeah, it will be pure text, but please just copy it, type it in the browser or something. Well, this is a 7-day one, sorry. This one. That's it. So if you wanna join the Discord server, go there, drop some questions, and see you next time. Let's check if you all can read that. Yeah, it's visible.